I have the best news ever. Save the World just got a brand new update to my favorite team perk, Blakebeard's Stash. Blakebeard's Stash gives you the peg leg, which is a very fantastic melee with technically the highest base crit chance in the game. Did you know that with totally rocking out, you can get up to 100% crit chance? Link to that video down below. It gives you cannonballs, which do a tremendous amount of damage to groups of enemies, and coconuts that heal you for a lot. With this team perk, you basically have a complete loadout at your fingertips. Unfortunately, in the past, when you killed an enemy to get these treasure chests that give you all of these great beauties, you'd have to stand still in the middle of combat trying to open a chest where if you take damage, your pickup animation is interrupted. It was really, really annoying, technically usable, but if there was acid pools, beehives, or any enemies around, or just one zapper off to the side trying to cancel it halfway through, you functionally didn't have a team perk. Not anymore! In this current version of the game, you can see from the footage that will be shown later in the video, this is amazing! When you kill an enemy, you pick up the chest right away. You just get it right there. And if you're using the peg leg, which I will be in today's video with a melee build that I'll talk about in a second, you just pick it up instantly. Half the time when you hear the sound of you already have the items. It's really, really fluid, really, really smooth, and I am so happy they updated it. My commander is Cloak Shadow. This is my current favorite hero in the entire game. Rest assured, he's not like the best ever, but he is very, very fun and only available during Frost Night. So if you want a best ninja loadout, video, link down below, that covers all the other options. You don't need him in the lead. I just prefer to use him. He's not even like the strongest. I just like him a lot. So of course, Blakebeard's Stash going coconuts is seemingly redundant, because a lot of people use Barret just to get coconuts, but a lot of people forget that the damage increase of 16% when you consume coconuts actually comes from Barret, so I highly recommend using him in support. Then, again, Blackbeard the Blackhearted, you gotta use him for the cannonball damage. You might not think that's a lot, but 20% goes a long way, especially when cannonballs are very, very spammable. And of course, the peg legs you get are clubs. You want that extra club damage. Privateer Hype is highly recommended. And Battle Beat. Seems a little random, maybe, but that faster swing speed and increased damage is pretty tremendous, and getting 10 kills in 9 seconds is pretty easy, and you can send that straight into a mini boss or a smash or whatever you got going on. And again, potentially another surprising pick, but Eternal Wanderer, I'm addicted to her. Okay, that double sprint stamina is huge. It's just so convenient for running around, getting around the map so much quicker. I love it. Okay, you could use pretty much anything else. Like you could use Assassin Sarah, or you could even use Corrosive Strikes because you're critting like 43% of the time. I know I'm covering the screen over there. Let me switch. There are options. There are a lot of ninjas in the game. You could even use Snow Strike, which is a recent hero, make those throwing stars explode. You really can't go wrong. I prefer Eternal Wanderer in this build, and that's what I'm going to be using, but you could use whatever makes you comfortable. And that's pretty much it. Let's hop in game and have some fun. So as usual, the awkward thing with this build is actually, getting the Blakebeard's Stash. I'm just using the Ear Splitter because it's pretty decent, and oh my goodness, I actually got lucky. So look at this. You just walk right over it. You just walk over the treasure chest, open it up, and look, it's right there. It's in my inventory. Of course, I still have to reorganize my hotbar down there, but you can just get the team perk going so easily. You don't always get 3 chests in your first time. Maybe the game knows I'm recording for a video, but that is amazing. So after we get that kill, we can back off, move everything into place, get the peg leg over here. And I personally like to just have the Xenon on hand for things like that, because even when I'm recording a video for YouTube, you got to pick off those glowing animals. And if you want to use like a Baron or something in your other hotspot, you can do that too. But this is how convenient it is. Now that we got the team perk active, we can just go ahead and do it. And anytime we get the chest, we'll just pick it up automatically. This is so cool. Pick it up, cannonballs go on the floor, which is something that we were worried about, because now you are only allowed to use your own stuff, or like you can only pick up your own chests. I'm hoping that the items that drop on the ground when you're full can be picked up by your teammates, because it's easy to share. Holding a cap of 8 of these is not very much, but that just encourages you to use it. And now that you're picking them up automatically, it's really, really convenient to just use them as you get them. And there is a current issue in the game where you see that right there, when the cannonball explodes, it shoots out 3 cannonballs and then 3 more. I don't know what that is. I'm not exactly complaining, but it's happening. So I'm just gonna let it happen. Just gonna enjoy that 75% damage increase and just go with it. Look at that! You kill an enemy and you just pick it up. It is so smooth. People who use this team perk in the modern day aren't gonna believe how inconvenient it used to be to pick them up. Especially in this mission with the modifier of acid pools. Anytime I'm taking damage from the acid pools on the ground, that would have stopped me from picking up the chest in the past. But now, even as I'm getting swarmed by enemies, beehives, I can just walk over it and pick it up. Okay, I don't actually think there are any beehives, but it felt like it. Like, that's how crazy Save the World can get. So the fact that you can completely skip the pickup animation, there's no further interruption, and it's just an instant retrieval of your team perk items. That's amazing. When you couldn't pick up the chest and you were locked just opening it infinitely without any chance of actually getting the items, you functionally didn't have a team perk, and that is now completely resolved. Look how convenient that is. Yeah, come right next to me and pick up these cannonballs. Are you able to grab these? Cool. So a teammate can actually use your resources so that when you're full up, you can still share with your teammates. And it's even smoother than before because instead of like stopping and dropping them to a teammate, they just walk over the cannonballs and coconuts that are already sitting on the floor that you spend 0 time collecting. They're just there and ready to go. I love it. All right, and the defense begins. So let's see if we can get a lot of enemies in one place. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. So with larger targets like this, I mentioned it's not a big smasher or mini boss killer. You kind of need to queue it up. You need to go up to a normal enemy, get that kill started, and then use your aura damage afterwards. If you're just laying into a mini boss, we'll probably see later on it's less effective. Granted, the peg leg is very good, and this is one of the things I love about this build. It kind of is dying as a second hand, but the ability to kill a Riot Husky through its shield with that aura damage is fantastic. Now, the survivability in this is really rough. I could have considered an... Okay, so this is my example. Yeah. Going up against a smasher, not a big deal. I am recording this on Twitch, by the way, so if you guys ever want to watch these live, go ahead and, you know, follow down below. But I'm struggling here because I did not prep much survivability. What I'm showing is usually used as a Ventures build, and that is usually not a scary place to be. This build works fantastically in Ventures. It has no reliance on a specific melee. You can just use the team perk anywhere. Look at those cannonballs going right there on the floor. It is much better in the current configuration as a group enemy killer. You can see that Riot Husky I was talking about earlier goes down with a breeze, and yeah, a physical weapon versus an elemental smasher is not doing a super great job. What I could recommend using is a secondary that's really good at smasher killing. Of course, in the exact same update as this team perk getting buffed, the plasmatic discharger just got a major nerf, which is a little tricky. That means we're gonna have to get a little more creative for our smasher killing. But don't worry, there are some very, very fantastic weapons in this game. So let me block this off so I don't take any damage. We could use a water pot shot, and I'm gonna do this because it's usually just a very strong weapon anyway, and it got kind of a weird update. They fixed it so it's not as broken strong as it always was, but they also gave it like a 40-something% damage buff. And let's see, 600k, 1.5 million. Okay, you know what? Seems fine to me. Seems okay. I think the pod shot as a secondary is an excellent way to counterbalance the weakness of this loadout. Look at this. You don't have to stop. You pick them up. You just walk right over it. Now, all the coconuts in the world are not going to make me suddenly invincible. So it's going to be a little bit of a balancing act between, you know, stopping, putting down healing traps, and making sure I can actually stay alive. The aura that we're looking at is coming from Shadow Stance. So when you get a melee kill as a ninja, you enter Shadow Stance, and that does give you a movement speed bonus and an armor bonus, which is fantastic, but it's still not enough to stay totally alive. Acid Pools is brutal. I know I was happy about it in the intro and all because I was able to demonstrate how you can pick up the chest no problem, but this is a brutal mission for this loadout specifically because not only are you having fire enemies doing residual affliction damage on you, but you also have Acid Pools. So if you do get any kills, you are now rewarded with dying where you stand. And of course, the storm is now coming in. So while I would have loved to have showcased this build in a Venture season, I didn't for several reasons. First off, in Ventures, you need to level up. I have not played Ventures at all this season. I haven't really been grinding it as much because I don't super enjoy the game mode. Not being able to use the weapons I want to use is a huge turnoff for me, and I've gotten everything you need from it. Like, I'm a max level player. That is so strong. Holy. Okay, so the pot shot's gonna get its own video. No link to that is prepared yet, but, you know, subscribe to see that. Pot shot's gonna get its own video for sure, but it seems like post nerf, it is fine. That thing shredded the smasher. Holy crap, that's 2 million without any health. Maybe I had battle beat, and we're not critting as much, but the increased 5% to the base crit chance is definitely showing. 43% chance with one crit rating perk is very, very nice. So seems like this weapon is no longer ridiculously bug strong, but doing a fantastic job because 1.7 million is actually higher than a Taker's health, which is about 1.4 or 1.3 million, something like that. I know blasters have like 1.6 million health pools, and smashers at this level are 4.8 million. So if you're curious about how strong these big enemies are, that's sort of what we're looking at. But yeah, it seems like the pot shot is plenty good. So stay subscribed for that. But the point I was making is that Ventures needs to level up, and I have not been doing that. And I didn't want to make a video showcasing a specific venture season and confuse newbies who might not know the difference between different seasons. So different venture seasons have different modifiers, and certain loadouts become better and worse depending on what season you're in. And I wanted to record a video in the 160s where this is going to be relevant information on a yearly basis. Of course, you can probably see that I do not recommend Blakebeard's stash for the most part in a 160 zone, especially if there's acid pools. I am going to require Arlene Iza for healing, or Bomb Suit Kai. Look, I don't have to pick it up. Like, Instinct told me to back off and wait for the beehives to go away, and then they just didn't need to go. But yeah, Bomb Squad Kyle, Prehistoric Iza. You can see I'm existing without a shield most of the time. So Prehistoric Iza would basically be permanently available, and that would be a very, very nice purchase for survivability, and of course Arlene Iza. So I'm unmuting for the video, you guys. Hello. Look at this mini boss. So we have a nature mini boss. I'm gonna pull out a fire pot shot and just see how we're doing. It's not tank, so this isn't half damage. 1.9 million? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And what do we got? What is that weapon you're using? I can't even tell what's happening.
Me?
Yeah, what is that? What are you shooting?
I'm using the Vendor Tech axe.
Okay, that's not the explosion. What was that explosion?
The cannonballs. I was shooting cannonballs. I was throwing cannonballs.
Oh, okay. Oh, I gotta do this later. All right, so
nice.
It's a little trickier to take. Honestly, this mini boss is just difficult anyway. This would not have been an effective thing to use a discharger against. And with the building blocker, we might have a troubling time here. Oh man, this is gonna be a shorter video than normal if we can't defend this objective. I would love to spam some traps.
None of us
down.
ran base, which didn't help.
No base, acid pools. I put pretty minimal traps, and we can still back it up. I basically went from showcasing the peg legs to spamming the pot shot. But honestly, I'm just excited to see that it at least survived. The discharger got a pretty sizable nerf. It's probably closer to functioning how it was intended, but that is weaker than anybody ever wanted it to be, I think. So yeah, it looks like we're fine now, and I'm just gonna go ahead and prep the roof on this southwest side because it seems really weak. And you know, as fun as this loadout really genuinely is, and works a lot better in Ventures in my opinion, traps are still very effective. And you can see when placed directionally, those tire traps do a really good job at stopping the enemies from coming in. Wherever you are facing, the enemies will get staggered towards the back. So as long as I'm facing the objective, they'll go in the other direction. And I'm also trying to showcase this whole build. I am running a melee build and emphasizing the peg leg, but you do cap out at 8 cannonballs, and look, well, when they hit, they're very strong, actually. You can see just 2 or 3 almost kills these mist monsters. Of course, they are standing on a slope, so the residual cannonballs that do significantly more damage aren't actually in effect, but that right there, I am gonna be so giddy about this forever. Like, every time you automatically pick up a chest, oh, here we go. All these enemies. Oh yeah, that's an intro clip right there. That's gotta happen. This is so good.
I just picked up your coconuts too.
Yeah. When there aren't acid pools to worry about and all the fire enemies are focused on a teammate, like, this is fantastic. I got so excited I didn't even eat my coconut. Storm God, the medic. Oh, he just traded. All right, there we go.
Barely, I stuck it.
So this build is always best, starting with the weakest enemy first and then just using that aura damage to get all that residual. I could not recommend the loadout I'm using any less. I highly recommend Eternal Wanderer. She's been a dead perk. I haven't been sprinting at all. And Battle Beat is a great pick, but at least 1 armor perk. Prehistoric Iza, I've never had a shield anyway. She would be fantastic. That'd give me 33 armor. That is a ton of survivability. Ooh. So kind of a do as I say, not as I do. You guys know I was just excited to showcase this perk. I think we did a decent job of that. This mission probably could have brought extra armor and healing regardless. This is such an awesome update to my favorite team perk, and while it might not be the best choice in the 160s, bringing this into Ventures is going to be a blast. Thank you guys so much for watching. Members get early access to these videos, although this went up pretty early because it's kind of an update video. If you ever want to see those videos early, you can become a member, and if you want to not pay anything and enjoy all my content, that's fine too. Nothing is ever going to be permanently paywalled unless it's like some really specific behind the scenes thing that most people wouldn't care about. That hasn't happened yet, so that's just there. So subscribe if you're new, member if you care a lot, and yeah, check out some of these recommended videos here. I'll try to recommend the other update videos as I cover the new stuff, and that's it. Have a good rest of your day. Enjoy the update. And then